This is Scott. If you're unfamiliar with me, I'm the Savvy Director of Client Success. It's good to see you all here. If you're here, go ahead and instead of posting where you're from, I'd love to know where you own currently for STRs or where you're looking. So if you're here a little bit early, go ahead and drop that into the comments there. I'd love to get a little look. Hey Lucas, how's it going? Good to see you. We're going to be heading Lucas's way. Lucas is based out of Nashville. Going to be heading that way in I think July. Is that when the STR WealthCon is? Something like that. Um, but we're looking forward to heading out there this year. I'm going to be bringing the whole team along. Going to be doing property or market matches. Going to be doing some, equity evaluations, all sorts of good stuff this year at the STR WealthCon of Savvy. So, yeah, welcome everyone. We'll dive in here at the top of the hour, but just wanted to, if you are here and you want to post in the chat where you own your short-term rentals at, and if you're looking where you're looking, that would be awesome. All right. Hey, Melissa. That's awesome. You host up in Vermont. Love that area up there. We have a really great partner agent up there who does a fantastic job, and um, yeah, kind of have a little several partner agents up in the northeast, and then on our team we've got Jeremy Wirtz over in New Hampshire. So awesome area up there. All right, welcome everybody. So we've got more people joining. We're right here at 11, but I'm gonna give everyone a couple of minutes to hop on. Today we're going to be diving into all of the best property avatars in each of our markets, kind of give you the scoop on which market to dive into and why they're the best. If you just joined us, go ahead and drop in the chat section, drop where you currently own and host STRs. And then if you're looking, what markets are you looking in? We'd love to know that. So that'd be awesome if you want to go ahead and drop that in there. And then I'll get started here in a minute. But we're going to be diving into the top property avatars in each of our area, kind of giving you a little bit of a inside scoop. If you want to hear about a whole bunch of markets all at once, we'll kind of get you going there. Awesome, Gary. Yeah, Destin's a great market over there in Florida, and I'm guessing East Tennessee, you're over in the Smokies. So two very different seasons of markets. It's awesome to have alternating high seasons. That's one thing that we love about our business model, just being able to offer everyone the ability to kind of diversify your short-term rental portfolio, just like you would diversify your stock portfolio, because you never know which markets are going to hit, which ones are going to get saturated. I know a lot of our investors love having, high seasons, high throughout all four seasons. So one market that hits in the winter, one market that hits in the summer, all of that. So yeah, I'll give everyone just one more minute to hop on here, and we're going to get going, diving into the top property avatars in each market that Savvy's in. You're in for a ride. If you don't have your cell phone out, go ahead and get them out. We got QR codes where you can go ahead and scan for each of these markets if you want to go ahead and hop on a direct conversation with some of those agents in that market. So those are going to be in the top right of every screen as we dive in. So keep those up and locked and loaded and ready to go. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's pull up this presentation and rock and roll. All right, good morning, everyone. So we're going to dive into the top property avatars for each market this morning. But just a little note before we do that, why work with us at Savvy? Why work with a Savvy agent? Number one is the expertise. In all of our markets that we're in, every agent that we work with is an owner themselves. So they know exactly the regulations, the restrictions. They know which property avatars are hot. They know exactly where to point you because they're operating successful short-term rentals themselves. It's kind of a must if you're working with us. And so that's part of it. And the other big part of it is the experience. We're not going to set you up on a drip. We're not going to wait for you to find the property and, analyze it. We're going out each and every day hunting properties for you, running some preliminary numbers and searches. If we send you something, we already think it's going to be successful based on the comps we're pulling, and we'll get that over to you right away. So the experience of working with one of our agents, extremely data driven, extremely comp driven. I know that gives you a lot of comfort as an investor. So where are we? Here's a little map of where we are today. Right now, we are in around 16 markets across the country. We're not going to have time to dive into all of them today. So today is part one. We're going to dive into part two next week, but we're going to go ahead and hit you with eight of our markets today and dive into the inside scoop and what the best property avatars are in each group. And if you just joined us, go ahead and drop in the comments. Love to hear where you are currently an owner of an Airbnb or STR, and then if you're looking where you're currently looking, would love to see that. All right, let's dive in. Hold on to your seats. Get your cell phones out if you want to scan in these QR codes. But first, we're going to jump right into the Poconos. Michael Klein is our agent over in the Poconos. Super fantastic to work with. The Poconos is a market that is, 2 hours outside of New York City, which is huge. People are trying to escape from New York all the time, and the Poconos is a quick, easy drive for them to get away on the weekend, all 4 seasons. So there's a lot of demand for rentals in the Poconos, but less competition than other markets. People in that market are not quite on that super property grind yet. So there's a lot of opportunity to kind of set yourself apart and delineate from the competition in a good way. Another great thing about the Poconos is it's a 4 season market. So, spring, summer, fall, all great reasons to escape, go to the Poconos, check out the leaves, get out into nature, get away from the concrete of New York City. But also in the winter, they got skiing and see a lot of traffic then as well, especially with those anchor holidays as well of Thanksgiving and Christmas. So good year-round demand there in the Poconos. Another good thing about the Poconos is that location is pretty flexible. It's not exactly the location that drives the revenue and drives people booking, but more of the property. So if you can put some top-notch amenities, that's fantastic. And a good reason that that is helpful is that it just opens a lot more properties up to you because you're not trying to be close to a specific amenity in general. So you can find a property that's going to be a super good fit, whether or not you're willing to add a whole bunch of amenities or you have a specific budget, or even if you have some personal aesthetics, that's going to open that up for you a bit since there's a big geographic area. Intro price point for the Poconos, you're looking at around 350,000 for standalone homes, and we know that in most of our markets, standalone homes do well, and so definitely a affordable market if you're looking to get into it. Maybe you're a first-time investor. We love working with first-time investors. Happy to help you there. And the very best property avatar are the studio and one bedroom standalone houses or the 5 plus. Kind of everything in the middle, a little bit more saturated. And we're just seeing a lot of, as the avatar itself, we're seeing a lot of promise with the couples luxury getaway cabins. So that's the studio and one bedrooms, and then also the large multifamily ones as well. So that's the Poconos. If you want to get on the connect with Michael directly, go ahead and scan that QR code in the top right. If you need any of these things later, we reach out, put it in the comments. We can get that over to you there as well. The hot amenities right now in the Poconos: saunas, theater rooms, game rooms, huge ones. To get people out and about. Those are also great amenities that couples can enjoy, and then also families as well. So now let's dive in over to Indianapolis, Indiana. Jason Royer is our agent there. And what draws people to Indianapolis is a lot of conferences, a lot of sporting events. They get a lot of people that are traveling there, not necessarily to visit Indianapolis, even though, there's some great reasons to do so, but kind of to go to, functions there. So a lot of sports there, and not even just like pro sports like the Colts, but a lot of, youth sports as well. I know they host a lot of youth competitions and championships. And so you've got families that are traveling, as a team. And so they're wanting to stay in some of those big houses too. If you go check out AirDNA, Indy's got a AirDNA score of 82, which is fantastic. And then year over year, the ADR, annual revenue, and RevPAR for Indianapolis are up 11%, which is, fantastic numbers. A lot of growth going on there. It's also a very affordable market. Intro pricing there is around 300,000. So that's a great, market to get into for a standalone home. If you are wanting to dive in, maybe one of your first investments was, a smaller property like, two to three bedroom, and you're wanting to get something a little bit bigger. It's also a great market for that too, since the entry point's a little bit lower. Hot amenities, definitely pools if you can get them. If you can have one installed, that's fantastic. We've got vendors in each market we can recommend to you. Jason does for sure. We can help you get those things done, and game rooms for sure as well. And the best property avatar there is 4+ bedrooms. Like I mentioned, a lot of people are traveling there for conferences. They're wanting to stay with their companies, as a business. Everyone's got their own room. I know that's how we travel when we travel with Savvy. We've also got a lot of families and stuff there going for, other sporting events and things. So go ahead and scan that QR code in the top right if you want to get connected with folks with Jason there. All right. Hopefully, I'm not moving too fast. We're going to try to, get through this so we can take some questions here at the end. But today we're diving into 8 of our 16 markets, and next week we're going to dive into the rest. So the Miami coast over in Florida, Lawrence Katufsky is our agent there, and we're getting ready to bring on another agent to help there. The Miami coast is the most trafficked, AirDNA searches in the country. So a lot of stuff going on there. One reason to invest in Miami, a very fantastic appreciation. It's been going up a lot over the last several years. And so, it's more than just lifestyle assets. There's a lot of appreciation there as well, but we also know a lot of people enjoy that Florida property for the lifestyle asset bit of it. The best property avatars for sure are the 6+ multifamily properties. Only 4% of listings on the market are in that six bedroom plus, and so there's a lot less competition. A lot easier to stand out. And as we know, families are super enjoying traveling together. Big groups of people work really well. Another great reason for Miami is that the high season for Miami is the winter. And so if you own properties, maybe you're in a couple mountain markets where the high season's the fall. Maybe you're over in, some other more temperate areas where maybe the shoulder seasons of spring are high, and you need something to kind of balance your portfolio so you're not having to save up a lot and that you have consistent cash flow you can count on. That's a great reason to invest in Miami because winter is when they are hitting it the hardest. People are trying to escape the rest of the country in the cold. Intro pricing is a little bit higher in the Miami area if you're wanting to get something that's going to do well and succeed, looking at around 700,000 there for intro pricing. And the hot amenities there are just the pool. I know it's close to the beach, but everyone wants to hang out at the pool as well after hours. It's a little bit more controlled, easier to keep a grasp on the kiddos as well. So if you want to connect with Lawrence, kind of dive into more things Miami, go ahead and scan in that top right up there. All right, moving on. We're moving over to Branson, Missouri. Tracy Lightfoot and her team are our agents over there in Missouri. We've got a whole team of folks out there. It is a big market. It's a big up and coming market. We're really excited about it. And Tracy and her team have been at it for years and years and years. So Branson is a family vacation market. It is a place where families like to go to get away. I've heard some people call it like the Smokies of the Midwest. And about 50% of the country can drive to Branson in a day. So, when we're looking at markets and, considering, potential future recessions, like to think of those markets where people can drive as being a little bit more recession proof. One of the things that we saw during COVID, as flights were shut down, people were still driving and going to Airbnbs to get away on vacation, and we don't see that changing. So if that's something you're looking to hedge your bets against, looking at some of these markets that a lot of people can drive to is definitely a plus there. For those of you who don't like a lot of risk and you're kind of wanting to maybe dive into something that's new construction, that is because you're worried about the maintenance costs and new construction's got that new roof that's going to last for 30 years or so and doesn't have any of the issues that kind of come with maybe doing a rehab or getting an older unit. There's a lot of new construction happening over in Branson, and that's a great reason to invest there if you're looking to kind of avoid and mitigate that risk. The ADR, annual revenue and RevPAR up in Branson year after year has been up 12%. So really fantastic growth happening there. Another, great part about the Branson market is it's very affordable and you can succeed at a lot of these different levels. So if you're looking to get into condos, condos there go start at around 220, which if you're a first time investor and you're wanting to get your feet wet, that's a great market. Tracy and her team can get you connected with vendors if you want to manage remotely and, still definitely able to cash flow on condos. I know one of their agents is doing, 20% gross ROI in his condo that he launched recently, a little bit of a, more of a man cave kind of feel. And then if you're looking to do a standalone home, starting around 450, which is great pricing. And like I mentioned, a lot of that is newer construction. So a little less issues there with some of the maintenance stuff. But the best property avatars there are definitely the standalone ones. A lot of the properties, in Branson, you do tend to have a bit more condos, a bit more neighborhoody kind of townhouse, kind of retreat development kind of places. And so if you can get a standalone 2 to 4 bedroom, those are doing fantastic. And the hot amenities there are private amenities. Like I mentioned, you have a lot of these neighborhoods that have shared amenities. So you have these shared pools, shared game rooms, all of that. And so if you can bring some of those amenities into your STR, so maybe if they want to get away to the bigger pool, they got the community pool there, but smaller one on the property or hot tubs or game rooms, things that can keep the guests at their house and not having to share community amenities, which is a lot of the Branson market, will definitely help set you apart. If you want to get connected with Tracy and her team, go ahead and scan that QR code up there. Definitely won't regret that. So moving on, let's go hit a beach market. Looking at Gulf Shores, Alabama. Ashley Guy is our agent over there on the Gulf Shores. The Gulf Shores, if you're looking for a beach market, definitely has a little bit lower insurance than other beach markets. It's a little bit more insulated from the Atlantic, a little bit farther in on the coast. So I know that insurance is a huge thing that we're always looking at, always including in our pro formas, and our beach market investors are always curious about. So that's a plus there. Gulf Shores is getting a commercial airport coming this year. That's going to be huge for driving traffic and more folks flying in direct to Gulf Shores. So we really anticipate that being a big plus for the market and continuing to grow an already fantastic market. Also, the amount of developable land on the kind of peninsula island part of it that has the beaches that everyone is trying to get to is almost all developed. And just like any other scarce resource, as that dwindles and supply goes down, we see average pricing go up. So definitely expecting to see a lot of appreciation there, which is if you're looking for a couple different plays with your STR and not just cash flow, also looking to get some great appreciation, go ahead and yeah, definitely check out Gulf Shores for that reason. It has a fantastic 88 score on AirDNA. RevPAR, ADR, annual revenue, all up 14% year after year in that market. So you can see there's a lot of growth there. It's kind of a slept on underground beach market. And so definitely getting a lot more popular. Intro pricing there, you're looking at 300,000 for a condo. Condos can definitely do well in that market, can cash flow, and then also 450 for a standalone. A lot of great ability to do standalones there. And Ashley herself has an amazing portfolio herself as an investor. So definitely, if you want to chat with her, go ahead and scan that QR code, ask her about what her and her team are up to there, and also some of the other markets they invest in across the country. Best property avatar in the Gulf Shores right now is you're looking at a 4 bedroom with a pool. So as you can see consistently, pools are becoming more and more of a thing. There's a lot of options there. You can get one professionally installed in ground. You can do some of those mod pools, but regardless, there are a huge amenity that are driving a lot of traffic in these beach markets. All right, moving on from Gulf Shores, Alabama, we're into Nashville, Tennessee, Music City. We got Kirkland Powell. He is our agent there. One of the things that Kirkland loves about Nashville is that there's no slow seasons. People are coming to check out Nashville all the time. It's always a great time to listen to country music. If you listen to country music in the summer, you've got, your Bud Light Lime popped open, toes in the sand. In the winter, maybe you're out in the hood of your truck with some whiskey. Always, always a great time. I love going to Nashville, getting to go into all the honky tonks. And we will be heading there for STR WealthCon this summer. So if you don't have your tickets to that, go ahead and grab them. We're going to be doing a lot of fun things there. It's a great time to learn as well. Another market for great appreciation is Nashville. It's been appreciating pretty consistently there. One of the crazy facts about Nashville, they did some studies on who their typical guest is that is coming into the city, and they're spending $611 a day on average. So you know that if they find a quality STR, they're more than willing to drop the money there. One of the best kind of loopholes in that market is the sister slash conjoining units loophole. So a lot of the market has been limited to only allowing four-bedroom STRs. But there's a loophole where if you have two units that are next to each other, like these townhomes, you can list them as long as they're managed by the same company or same person as an eight-bedroom. And so if you're really wanting to stand out from the rest of the competition, looking for these sister conjoining units is a great loophole to get into, a great way to stand out and really be able to host some bigger parties and groups there in Nashville. Also, if you're someone who a lot of the markets we're in kind of have a little bit of gray area in terms of regulation, and you want something with really clear regulations, and that's going to make you feel a little bit better that's already regulated. You're not going to have the guess, what's coming down the pipeline years to come. Nashville's great for that too. They've already got very clear things that you can understand. Kirkland is totally in the know there. Currently, Nashville's got an 83 score in Air DNA, so definitely one of the higher markets there. And then ADR, annual revenue, and RevPAR are all up 8% for that market. So still seeing a lot of growth there. And one of the crazy things is that there are about 5,000 bachelorette parties per month in Nashville. If you've ever been out on Broadway in Nashville, that is not a surprise to you. But it's a great opportunity to kind of, have a very themed, a very pointed STR that is going to get, some fantastic bookings. If you can stand out and be, one of the best bachelorette driven ones in the area. Intro pricing for Nashville, a little bit more of an expensive market. You're looking at intro pricing around 600,000, and then the best property avatar there, definitely those sister units. So if you can find those sister conjoining units, you want to look into those. Give Kirkland a call. Go ahead and scan that QR code in the right. Get connected directly with Kirkland and his folks. So we have Rachel Kirkham over in Utah. The Utah markets, I'm going to say a thing in a second that's going to get you very excited, but the BRR method, is super effective there. You might be able to find seller financing from failed STRs. Rachel herself has some experience in acquiring some of her own rentals that she owns with seller financing. And I know that when I say seller financing, all of our investors get super excited because interest is crazy and we're trying to avoid it if possible. But it's a market that kind of boomed a little bit ago, and we've got a lot of people trying to get out of it. And so that is one potential reason that it could be a great fit for you. Maybe your pro forma is going to look totally different with a different seller finance interest rate versus your current one on the market. In terms of Utah markets, the closer to a mountain range you can get, the better. Just a general rule of thumb. Intro pricing there, a little bit more of an expensive market, but looking at around 700,000 for intro pricing. The best property avatar, still those big properties, 5+ bedrooms, less competition. Being able to capitalize on families and group travel. And the hottest amenities, Rachel herself did a experiment with the ones that she has in her own portfolio and the ones that she manages for other people, and saw a 62 to 100% increase in annual revenue by adding a hot tub. So some markets still haven't caught up to the it's illegal not to have a hot tub kind of mentality. So that's a great one over there in Utah that seems to be the case. All right. So, to end part one of our best property avatars presentation, we're going to look at Panama City, Florida. So, Joe Roney is our agent over there. Fun fact: Joe used to be a pro skater back in the day. He's still gets out at the skate park. Really fun guy. Love having Joe on the team. Panama City is a family friendly market. I know what a lot of you, when you think about Panama City, you think of spring break, but just like people who go on spring break, they got to grow up at some point. And so we see Panama City growing up and, moving a little bit more towards a family focused market. You've got Dolly Parton going investing there, doing Dolly's Pirate Theater, Top Golf, Ripley's. A lot of these companies who have, spots over in Branson and have spots over in the Smokies are, going to Panama City to start investing there. So a lot of families coming that direction. Also a very drivable market to a lot of the country as well. So is Gulf Shores in terms of other beach markets. 83 score on AirDNA, so definitely a great one. ADR, annual revenue, and RevPAR up 14% in that market. That's huge. It's really fun to be in markets that are performing so well and growing so well, and to kind of get to be on some of the front end of those things. Intro pricing in Panama City, you're looking at 500,000. For intro pricing there. And the best property avatar is definitely a little bit of those bigger properties, 4+ bedrooms, or if you can find a 3 bedroom, with a garage to convert, that's also a great spot to grab. So if you want to get connected with Joe, go ahead and scan that QR code in the top right, get attached his booking calendar, and get connected directly there. The hottest amenities there are pools, game rooms, and really just exterior experiences. And that's kind of a thing we're seeing across all of our markets, right? People are loving getting out and you being able to get into the pools. If it's not, a mountain market, we're seeing that be a really high driver. Even if it is a mountain market, that's a big one, but definitely a little bit harder to get into in some of these crazier elevation changing areas. But yeah, game rooms, exterior experiences like putting greens, all of that, putt courses, those things are really big right now. And so all of that to say, I told you I'll try to wrap up with a couple minutes for some Q&A. So if you do have any Q&A, go ahead and drop some questions in the comments or the little Q&A box. I'd be happy to answer as best as possible. But we've got another 8 markets that we're going to be talking about next week. So if we haven't talked about a market you're curious about, stick around next week. We're going to go and dive into all of those and get, another great batch of property avatars to jump into. If you're wanting to get connected to me or my team, our client success department over here at Savvy, we love talking about markets. We love listening to kind of what you have going on and seeing, how we can best support you, what market we can get you in touch with, kind of explaining what it looks like to work with Savvy in our team. And so we can definitely get you connected there. Go ahead and scan that, and that'll go straight to my booking calendar to hop on the phone with me. I promise if we talk on the phone, I will talk a little bit slower than this, but trying to get through 8 markets in 25 minutes, leave a little room for questions is a big mouthful, but I can slow it down and while we're chatting. Any questions there? If you do have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment box. Also, if you own a property, I'd love to hear what market that you're owning in. Also, if you're looking currently, love to know where you're looking. And like I said, if you're wanting to get any advice, definitely can hop on. I see Kate asks, will this be recorded? It is being recorded. She missed the first 2 markets. So yeah, Kate, we'll send out the recording a little bit later. You'll definitely be able to dive into that, play it back a little bit slower. But I really appreciate everyone hopping on here and listening. Next week we'll, be diving into some of the more controversial markets. I know the one everyone's thinking of, and I got some really exciting facts about that. We've got one market that we're going to be looking at next week that's got a 99 score on AirDNA. So which market's that going to be? You can Google all the markets in the country if you want, or you can come stick around next week. Happy to dive into that with you. Yeah, and any questions, go ahead and drop them in, or go ahead and book something on my calendar. You can also get in touch with me, Scott at savvy.realty. I would love to kind of get you matched with a market that is going to be the best fit for you. Awesome. Well, I guess this is more of an info dump than a conversation. But if you think of anything in the meantime, say those questions for next week or shoot them over to me. But it's been really fun getting download a lot of our information over to you. One of the things I didn't mention, but is worth mentioning, is that a lot of the agents that are on our team. Um, Go ahead and they have management companies themselves that they run. So if you are someone who is wanting to have some management help, we've got a great group of folks who are doing management and can do run their properties like they run their own. I got a question about Nashville. Is it common for to the conjoining sister units to have HOAs? I am not 100% sure on that question, Nicole. I'd love to get you connected to Kirkland. I'll definitely reach out to you to kind of get you in touch with him. He's got all the inside scoops there. I sadly cannot know all of the information that our expert agents know since they live in each of their markets and invest there. But Kirkland would definitely be able to help you with the best submarkets right outside of Nashville. He definitely has his neighborhoods in Nashville that I've heard him talk about that he really enjoys. I know also if you can find anything downtown, that's typically a huge success as well. But I'll reach out to Nicole and try to get you connected with Kirkland so he can dive into all things Nashville, Music City with you. You are welcome, Nicole. Thanks for asking your question. Awesome. Well, we try to be as much of a resource as we can. Let's see. Justin asked, in the market savvy is in, do they have contacts to teams for everything you need to get started? Yes, 100%. Thanks for asking that question, Justin. Each of our agents, they're running their own Airbnbs. A lot of them are managing their own. We also have a lot of clients who are self-managing. And so we get to hear a lot of the scoop on what vendors around town we like to use. Sometimes those vendors change, sometimes if someone doesn't do a good job, they've been on the vendor list, the vetted list for years. We take them off, find someone new who we like and has great suggestions. But yes, we do have contacts to everyone you can think of, from photographers to get you those really fantastic photos that are going to book well, to designers. If you're needing some design help, you can suggest in-person designers, remote designers, pool people, hot tub people, cleaners, you name it, plumbers, electricians, general handy people, contractors. Yep, Kate just asked about contractors. Yeah, definitely have suggestions for all of those things. Um, it's definitely something that comes along with the territory of being an owner yourself, and part of why, for us, that it's a non-negotiable to be able to, to be partnering with owners. So yeah, definitely have those, and we can get you in touch with those folks in the markets that you're looking at. So thanks for asking, Justin. That's a great question. Awesome. It looks like we got time for one more question if anyone wants to ask. I'm sure everyone is enjoying the warm streak after suffering through several weeks of cold as a country. It's so crazy to see places like Gulf Shores get snow and just to get pictures from our agents on those beach markets that haven't had snow in forever. So I know I'm enjoying the warm weather. Looking forward to doing some birding here later this afternoon. Is Asheville still a good market to invest in? 100% Asheville's still a good market to invest in. We've got some really detailed reports that we kind of had developed to look into that, but just in general, a lot of our owners that we've been talking to are booked out weekends all the way through, the fall right now, and then weekdays are starting to pick up as well. And so, yeah, definitely a great market. We're going to talk about Asheville next week in our second half of this series, diving into the property avatars for the other markets. Insurance cost in Gulf Shores versus Panama City. I would have to ask Joe and Ashley about that to get that specific information. I know that those two markets in general are less than a lot of the other parts of Florida, just being, shielded by the main peninsula of Florida. My What I imagine is that Gulf Shores might be a little bit less expensive, but I'll have to let Joe and Ashley speak to that since they're the ones running pro formas all the time and have those insurance policies themselves. Kate, go ahead and in the comments. You want me to go ahead and get you connected with Joe or Ashley? Are you looking in one of those beach markets over on the Gulf? Let me know if you are. I'm definitely happy to have my team reach out. Awesome. I like all the questions at the end. Y'all got chatty. You started off a lull in the questions, and now we're picking up. So I appreciate everyone asking questions. I can definitely stick around for a couple more if anyone has any more. Awesome. Kate said she's going to hold out. She's going to hold out on what markets to look into after next week. I like that you're looking forward to it, Kate. And I wish I could dive into all 16. But as you could tell, the first eight were a whirlwind, and I fear a hurricane style whirlwind, tornado style. If I would have tried to do all 16, I actually was thinking of it. I had a presentation prepared, but decided not to talk that fast at you guys. That way we could get some good quality information. But yeah, excited to chat with y'all next week. Awesome. Well, if there's anything else, definitely happy to answer. It's fun to see so many names that we know, so many of our past clients, and hopefully, future folks. We're excited to work with y'all. If y'all are first timers, we love getting to work with first timers. It's a little bit more of a hand holding process, but we enjoy holding hands, walking you through that process. Definitely a very Beatles mentality. We want to hold your hand. Um, so, what's the buyer's agent fee estimated range? Kate asked for my email. Email is scott@savvy.realty. You can also scan that QR code on the screen right there. Get connected with me. So, buyer's agents, I know that the NAR settlement happened last year, and everyone was concerned about how everything was going to switch up. But for the most part, things have stayed pretty much the same. We're seeing a little bit of fluctuation in what that amount of compensation from the sellers is looking like for buyer's agents. It used to be a fairly standard rate across markets. And standard not as it's decided, but just stuff kind of averages out. But typically, a lot of sellers are still paying the buyer's agents fees, and so that's still pretty normal. Some of our agents definitely being the experts that they are, definitely want to make sure that we get compensated for the time well and for all the effort and the energy. So if there's anything there in terms of, having buyers kind of come up with whatever the difference is between their normal fee and what the sellers are offering, that is something that we can work into offers and have successfully done that to kind of negotiate, because I'm sure that you want your expert agent to get paid just as much as the agent does, to be, adequately compensated. So that's the thing that we sometimes are building into those offers. But that's definitely a thing that the agents can kind of chat with you about one-on-one. But really, we're not seeing too much difference from the after the NAR settlement. I know for most of our, I actually did an average on this. We were looking at, before it was pretty standard to see, 2 to 3% commission, normally on the 3% for buyers agents from the sellers. And I did an average for the stuff that we put under contract last year from our agents and our partner agents, and we were at like 2.76%. So on average of what we buyers were getting. So that is the fee range, but typically that comes from the seller side. And there are no additional fees for working with us and our team, even though we do a lot of extra things that most real estate agents and teams don't do. So thanks for asking. I appreciate that question. Awesome. Thanks, Lou, for dropping my email down there. Where am I based? I am based in our hub office in Asheville. So Asheville is where Savvy STR agents got started. We've been here for the last, I don't know, gosh, like 5 years or so. Tyler actually used to was building a residential team and then enjoyed working with STRs so much. He had one client who was doing it that he left that team, let his partner have it and started from scratch doing full-time short-term rentals and haven't turned back since. It's kind of been part of what all of our agents do. All of our agents are doing full-time STRs, so we are in, day out. We're looking at hot tubs every day, looking at what the best amenities are. That's kind of our full-time thing. So that's one of the things that we really like about our team is not being split attention between residential or commercial and STR, but just strictly STR all day. Definitely get you a lot of insight there. But yeah, I'm in our hub office over in Asheville, which is where a lot of our hub staff is based. But all of our agents are based in the markets that they're in. They sell in the markets they live in, and also they all own properties there as well. I know some of our agents are kind of diversified in their properties across all of the markets across the country, but definitely all own in their markets as well. So great question. I see a lot of people hanging out in the call still. I think people are kind of waiting to see what's the next question. The answer to that question is that if you have the question, you can ask it, and I will answer that one. But I appreciate everyone's time and listening. If you get in touch with me, we've got our client success department kind of built out. You might get in touch with me, my co-anchor Dylan. You also might hear from him as well. But we're always happy to chat markets with you, figure out based on what you're looking for, whether or not it is a certain price point. We're happy to guide you to the property and the property avatars and the markets that are going to be the best for you. So always let us know. Do you have some off-market deals or mostly from MLS? Yeah, so in terms of off-market stuff, that kind of varies from market to market. Some of our markets never have off-markets, and some of them do. So like California, like in the Joshua Tree area, definitely a market that has some good off-market opportunities. Down in Branson, they have a good amount of off-market deals as well that they're aware of. Definitely a couple in some of the beach towns that we're in too. And if you do ever get like an email from us at Savvy about an off-market opportunity, that is a great time to kind of hop on those. Often what we'll have is before some of our clients and some of our markets want to go ahead and list on the main market, they'd like to see if any of our investors who are already doing STRs kind of want to, try to get some of these properties that are already STRs, and we think that's a great place to start. And so if we ever send you an off-market opportunity, definitely reach out. It's definitely worth looking at when those come across your radar. So definitely some in some of the markets, but less. I would say probably about a quarter of our markets are pretty consistent with having off-market opportunities. All right. And all right, asking all the questions, and we're excited to talk with you next week, same time, about the next eight savvy markets. Which one is going to have that 99% or 99 score on AirDNA. We'll find out then. But we appreciate all your time. If you need to rewatch this, get those QR codes to connect with us agents again, feel free to check that out when the video comes across your email. You can also reach out to me, Scott at savvy.realty, and me and my team will definitely help you there. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks, Justin. I appreciate you. You're welcome. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.